The Treasurer is resisting pressure to scrap the luxury car tax despite the demise of Holden. Live to political reporter Trudy McIntosh here at Parliament House in Canberra with us. Trudy, Josh Frydenberg holding firm, clearly concerned with the impact on the budget bottom line.
And you can see why, Annalise. This luxury car tax brings in $675 million a year to the federal budget. So you can see why the Treasurer is resisting calls to remove it at a time when we know that the budget surplus is already wafer thin. But there is this push we've seen by a group of Liberal MPs publicly making the case to the Treasurer that he should be considering reforming this, that in the wake of Holden's demise, it's a bad tax and it should be removed because it was originally imposed by the Howard government in the days where they were trying to support Australia's car manufacturing sector, and that simply doesn't make sense for now. James Paterson is one of those MPs who has been making that case publicly. There has been a little back down from the strong comments we saw, though, in the Australian, making the case now that they do understand the budgetary constraints here. But also, interestingly, from a Nationals MP, Matt Canavan, this morning, he's making a smaller case that this should be exempt just for farmers.
And I'm certainly not advocating anything in the short term that would make it even harder to reach a budget surplus, because there is a cost to removing taxes like this. But I think it should be the ambition, certainly over the medium term, when the budget is in hopefully a stronger state, that we can remove these taxes and deliver cheaper cars and better choice for Australians.
I do think what should be looked at, though, is whether or not we should be imposing a luxury car tax on our farmers. Many farmers have to buy vehicles that are above that threshold just to operate, Land Cruiser, operate their business. And that sort of cost on our farms, particularly when they're facing a drought, that's something that should be looked at first, in my view.
But there's certainly a bit of confusion on the Labor side of politics when it comes to this issue. Labor MPs this morning have been asked about whether the Labor Party supports removing this tax, and you do get an answer that we're still waiting for a review into this policy.
We'll go, as far as I know, we're not considering removing it, but we are going through and reviewing all of our tax policies, and that's a proper process that we'll go through over the next year or so before the next election.
And Trudy, the Labor leader lashed critics of the proposed superannuation increase in his latest Vision speech.
Yes, Anthony Albanese will be delivering this later today, Annalise, in Brisbane, and he's expected to lash this unholy alliance, as he calls it, between welfare lobby groups and also Liberal MPs who have been pushing back against the proposed superannuation guarantee increase from 12% to 15% by the middle of this decade. People who oppose that increase make the case that businesses can't afford to be increasing superannuation and also passing on wage increases to workers at the same time. But Anthony Albanese thinks that's a red herring as an argument, expected to say in this speech, quote, "I absolutely reject this binary approach. With economic growth and productivity, you can have both higher super and higher wages. The prescriptions of ACOS and others play into the hands of the coalition." So interesting to see that friendly fire, Annalise, on the left side of politics towards a normally left-leaning think tank. But this speech overall is about the impact on older Australians, the policies that Labor thinks are the best going forward in that area. And as we know, after that Labor election review, there was a lot of focus on how Bill Shorten's franking credits policy hurt him in that area. It's something that Anthony Albanese is not keen to replicate.